Welcome to Register on Track for the Faculty of Computer Science. And before we get too into it, I know there will be people joining us tonight from all over the world. But right now, myself and the other presenters on the webinar are joining from Mi'kma'ki, also known as Nova Scotia. And soon in the fall, you'll also be here as well. And so we're going to start the session with a land acknowledgement for Mi'kma'ki. So Dalhousie University operates in the unceded territories of the Mi'kmaq, Wolastoqey, and Pescotawamacari peoples. These sovereign nations hold inherent rights as the original peoples of these lands, and we each carry collective obligations under the peace and friendship treaties. Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982 recognizes and affirms Aboriginal and treaty rights in Canada. We recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki, known as Nova Scotia, for over 400 years. So as you're getting ready in the summer to come to DAL and getting prepped, I'd encourage you to take some time and learn about the land and the space that you're coming to as well, and more about Mi'kma'ki in general. And then a welcome from me. My name is Catherine. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a student success advisor at the Bissett Student Success Center. I also graduated from DAL. I did a Bachelor of Science at DAL as well. So I was a student too. And just on the screen, we have a few pictures of me just to get to know me a little better. So in the top left, I have a headshot of me. So that's what I look like on a good day. And then next to that, on the top right, I have Lola, one of my cats, basking in the sun. She's very dominant and confident and kind of always out and looking for attention. And then her sister, Bambi, is underneath her in the bottom right, hiding under a chair, probably hiding from Lola. And then next to that, in the bottom left, I just have a picture of me gardening. So what I like to do in the summer, once the weather gets nice, is really get outside and garden and try and grow things. So every year I try and grow some fruits, some vegetables to be able to then eat. And so it really is my goal for the summer. And that's where I spend most of my time when I'm not working. And you'll also see here, we have a little visitor here. Bambi has joined us for the night. So you can see her ears perking up in the background. And tonight we're going to spend around an hour going through the course selection and registration process and supports. And then at the end, we will have an opportunity to answer any questions that have come up. So at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll be able to see there'll be a Q&A button. And so if you click that button, a question and answer box will pop up and you'll be able to type your questions into the text box at the bottom and click send. If you don't want your name to be associated with your question, that's completely okay, and you can send it anonymously. And so to do that, you would just click send anonymously, and then you would show up as anonymous. Your questions will then go to myself and the other panelists, and we'll either save them till the end and answer them out loud or by text. So feel free to pop those questions in there as we're going along too. This session, as you joined, you heard that announcement about it being recorded. So the session is recorded. It's going to be posted on the website and on YouTube. And so you will get a copy of the recording and a copy of the slides afterwards, just so that you have something to refer back to. So don't feel like if you've missed something, it's kind of lost forever. And then our agenda. So first, we're going to go over a bit of a welcome to DAL, and then we're going to really dive into course selection and registration and the process to get you set up for June 7th. And then at the end, we're going to talk about different supports for success at your time here at DAL. But first off, I have a warm welcome from my team to yours, to you.
Welcome to DAL!
And so hopefully just through the screen, you felt all of that excitement and the energy and the enthusiasm there. And that's the energy that you'll feel when you come to campus in September or in January. Everyone is so excited. We're so keen to have you start and join us at DAL. And so that is really the energy that you'll hopefully feel a little tonight, but then really once you get started as well. And so when you're thinking about coming to DAL and maybe meeting with different folks on campus, different supports, some things to think about, or things that we always love to know is, what are you excited about when you think about DAL? What made you choose DAL in the East Coast? What was it about the place or maybe the school that really attracted you here? And then with that, over the summer, are there any challenges you're anticipating coming? Are there any roadblocks that you might see coming that you can reach out now and get support for and put a plan in place for? And then finally, there are so many different things that you're able to do at DAL to tailor your degree, both like with your academics, but also outside of the classroom with volunteering or working and different opportunities there as well. So what do you want to do when you come to DAL? How do you want to make the most out of your degree? And I have a student here with us tonight, Caitlin, who's going to share a little about how she's kind of made the most out of her degree.
Thank you, Catherine. Hi, my name's Caitlin. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a fourth-year arts and social science student here at Dal. On campus, you can find me being a resource for student and residents, mentoring first-year students, tutoring for the Dalhousie Spanish department, being a society president, and being a peer advisor here at the Bissett Student Success Center. I would say during my time at Dal, my favorite memory have to be my parents, my mom, my dad, my sister moving me into residence. As far as my favorite course I've taken so far, I would say that it's Laws 2520. And if I could give a tip to first year incoming students, it would be to stay organized. The transition from high school to university can be very intense at first, and staying organized, I believe, is the key to having a smooth and successful academic year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Caitlin. And there's lots of ways and different supports to help you stay organized here at DAL that we'll get to at the end. And as you can see from that, Caitlin is involved in so many different things, like her department, at the center, in residence. And so there are lots of different ways for you to get involved and engage with campus and the community in Halifax. And I'm now going to pass you on to Leo, who's going to give you a bit of an introduction from the Faculty of Computer Science.
Thank you. Hi, hello everybody. My name is Leo, and I am a general advisor here at the Faculty of Computer Science. We are so excited to have you join us, and today's session is all about to help you feel confident and to get you ready to register for your first year classes. We are here to support you every step of the way, and so don't worry about it. You're not alone.
Wonderful. Thank you, Leo. And the contact information for them and the undergraduate student advisors in computer science is on the screen. And so Leo's right. If you run into an issue, if you need help with course selection, if you're a little confused, reach out. There are so many people here to support. And so if you do need help, do reach out. And we're all open over the summer and here and ready to work with you. And so with that, we're really going to jump into course selection and registration, because that's why we're all here tonight. And so dal.ca/registration is going to be your main source of information concerning things about registration. All of the steps we go over can be found on that website. If you're looking for information on like how to register, how to drop, how to create a schedule, all of that can be found through this page as well. And so we're going to be working through together tonight the steps that you see on the screen, starting with step number 1 before you begin. So before you begin kind of picking courses and registering, there are a few things that you're going to need to do. So the first is, if you haven't already, you're going to need to pay your $200 admission deposit. Once you've done that, you can activate your net ID and password, set up your Dalhousie email, and then check your registration status on Dal Online. And you can bookmark the important dates page, so that gives you an overview of the key dates going on for next year. But it's really important that you pay the deposit, activate your net ID, check your registration status before June 7th, because if you don't do these things and you log on June 7th, you won't be able to register without getting these things set up. So I've mentioned a net ID, and your net ID is what you use to log into Dal Online, which is the platform we use to register for courses. And so your net ID is going to be 2 letters followed by 6 numbers. And that's also going to be your email address too. And you can find your net ID by going to password.dal.ca and clicking Activate Net ID. And now you might have also heard the term student ID or B0 number or banner number, and that's different. So your banner number, that is the number that you'll likely see on your acceptance letter, it starts with a B and a 0. And so, for example, if you went to go meet with Leo, Leo might ask before meeting, can I have your banner number? And so that's what we would use to look you up in the system. Whereas your net ID is what you're going to use to access some online platforms, Dal Online, and different spaces on campus. So it's really important that you get your net ID set up before registration day, especially because the next step that you'd want to do is you want to check your registration status to make sure that you are good to go to register on June 7th. So to do that, you would log into Dal Online with your net ID and password. You would then click Web for Students. You'd then click registration and then prepare for registration. It then kind of wants you to double check. So you click prepare for registration again. And then in the term, you do 2025, 2026 fall, and then press continue. And so when you're checking this, you only want to check for the semester that you're joining. So if you're joining in the fall, just check for the fall semester. If you're joining in the fall semester and you check the winter semester, it's going to look a little funky. So you just want, providing the semester you are joining looks good, you will be good to register. And so if you press continue, what you hopefully will see is 3 green ticks and 1 exclamation mark in red that says your time tickets do not allow registration. So you see those 3 green ticks, that means you're good to go. And the exclamation mark just means that you're able to register on June 7th at 12 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. But you can go ahead and do this now as soon as your net ID is activated. And that will give you time that if there is something that looks a bit funky, you can reach out and get it all straightened out before registration day on June 7th. And so those are the steps really to get going now to make sure that you're set up for June 7th. And now we're going to jump into finding your courses. And so before we get too into it, we might have some transfer students in the room. And so a lot of this information is geared to incoming first year students, but I do want to talk on transfer students and transfer credits. So if you are a transfer student or you're expecting transfer credits either from another post-secondary institution, or you maybe did AP, IP, A-levels, a curriculum, one thing to note is that your transfer credits won't automatically be added to your record. So you do need to apply and request for transfer credits. You can go ahead and put that application in now for transfer credits. It can take some time. So if you are expecting them, I'd encourage you to apply now so you're kind of set up for September. If you're coming from another post-secondary institution, you actually are able to register now. So you don't have to wait to get your transfer credits. You should be good to register, but those transfer credits might be prerequisites. They might be needed to be able to register for some of those things. But I'd suggest if this is you and you're a transfer student to reach out to the Faculty of Computer Science and talk with them about your credits and your course selection there. And then finally on transfer credits, and students new to DAL, so the orientation stuff, all of those fun things that will happen at the beginning of this semester are available to you. So please do join us for all of that fun programming and the info and stuff and orientation at the start of this semester. And so the first thing to think about, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to find your courses. And so we're going to go under step 2 and we're going to click the course planning worksheet. And so these are really great guides to help pick your courses and guide you through course selection. So you'd go down, you click Faculty of Computer Science, and you can then click based on your program, and it will bring you to a wonderful website. So on this website, you have some teaser videos. It lists your required first year courses. It has some FAQs, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can take a bit more of a look at it together as well. So just give me a second as I switch over. There we go. So this is the website that you can find on that course planning worksheet page. And so we have some info about your first year and registering for courses and how to create a schedule. And then we get to your required and like suggested courses. So both degrees have to do these courses. And what's recommended. So you can do here CSCI 1105 and then CSCI 1110. If you do have prior programming experience and can easily do this assignment, you can jump to 1110, but also if you did 1105 first, it would then be an elective too. So that's kind of the option there in the breakdown. And then they've broken down the other required courses by program. So if you're in applied computer science, these are kind of those required courses, and then you have electives. And then for computer science, you have these courses, and then you have a bit of an option there at the end too to do your science and then an elective too. There's also a degree checklist, which then really breaks down your entire degree to give you a fuller picture. And so with both of these, you do have some options to kind of make some choices. And I'd encourage you, when you're thinking, to reach out to the Faculty of Computer Science to really understand all of your choices and what your options are. And Leah's going to share a bit of information in the chat about kind of what courses will meet that science for lab requirement and other things. And I don't know if you wanted to add something to Leo.
Oh, no worries. So I'm gonna share, actually. I'm gonna put that into the chat there. Because science with lab is also requirements that involve with other topics except computer science. So just give me a second to. So here is a science with lab required course approved course list in there. Just so you guys know, for CSCI 1107, 1109, or 1109, those courses are reserved for first year student. That is credit hours below 30. So for example, in the future, if you enter your second year, you might not be able to choose those 3 courses, but all the other topics that I have tapped in there are still good to go. Those courses will count towards your science with lab. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. And that will be in the chat, and I can also share that too. And so that gives you a breakdown of the courses and the things that you need to do in your first year. And then the rest of the page, we have some snapshots of kind of different intro courses and a little bit of what to expect. And then right at the bottom here, we have some frequently asked questions. So I'm sure you have lots of questions about joining DAL and joining computer science. So they do have a list of kind of FAQs there that you can check out. And then of course, the contact information and booking link if you did want to reach out to anyone and chat more about that. So that's the wonderful website, and those are kind of a breakdown of the courses that you'll want to kind of register for. And so I'm going to go back to sharing the presentation now and just switch over. Sorry, it's not the smoothest transition. Here we go. And so, yes, that gives you an overview of the courses and then just the website in general. And so when you are thinking of your courses and those options you have, some things to think about are what type of subjects interest you. So is it maybe something you've really enjoyed in high school that you've loved? Maybe you've developed some passions and something you really have learned a lot outside of the classroom and want to learn in the classroom about. Maybe it's just something you've always been curious about. It also can help you to have an idea of maybe what you don't like and what you don't want to do. And then what kind of learner are you? So when you do have some of those options, do you want potentially a course with a lab or a tutorial? Do you want more discussion? So how do you want a structure of a course? And then what does the rest of your day look like in your other commitments? So when you're planning your schedule, what do you have time for? Where is that space? And then what are the other commitments that you have going on? So that kind of gives you, particularly that website, an overview of how to actually find your courses and help with the course selection process. And now we're going to jump into creating that schedule for you. And so what can be really helpful when doing this is using a blank schedule. So on the registration website, we do have a blank schedule. This is a fillable PDF, and that you can plug in exactly where your courses are going to be, so that you can then see on the schedule what it's going to look like, and it can help kind of visualize your week for you. And then at the bottom there, we just have a way for you to record what courses you're going to register and some information that you'll need for registration. And as we're going through this and talking, it's really important that you register on June 7th for both the fall and the winter semester. So as you're going through this and you're making a plan for fall, do make sure you make that plan for winter too, because on June 7th, you'll register for both fall. And so when you are thinking of that plan and mapping things out, the other thing to think about is your work. And so at DAL, there's two different terms that we use. So one is full-time and one is a full course load. So to be a full-time student here at DAL, you need to be taking a minimum of 9 credit hours, with a typical course being 3 credit hours. That's typically 3 courses. And so you might need to be a full-time student for potentially a student visa, a varsity student, if you're living in residence, if you have a student loan or student funding. All of those things might require you to be a full-time student. Whereas a full course load is 15 credit hours. And that would typically, if each class was the 3 credit hours, would be about 5 courses. And this is maybe the more traditional way. So if you're looking to complete your degree in that 4 years, it's typically 5 classes in the fall, 5 classes in the winter. But there are lots of different ways for you to complete your degree, and you're more than just a student and have lots of other things going on in your life too. And so when you're thinking about workload and how many courses you want to take, I'd encourage you to really think about how difficult these courses feel to you. How does it feel like preparing for 5 different exams or midterms? What is your timeline for graduation? Do you need or want to graduate within a particular time frame? And then what are your other commitments? So what are your community commitments? Do you have a job? Do you volunteer? Do you have a family? And so when you are thinking about workload and courses, I'd encourage you to think all about that and think about what would be the best fit for you. And if you're not sure how many courses would be the best fit, or you're not sure what it would look like, your degree would look like based on the number of courses you would take, I'd encourage you to get connected with an advisor to talk about that and kind of what that's going to impact as well. But that just gives you an overview of your workload as we go into more of picking, creating a schedule and thinking about what you want to take each semester. And then I've already mentioned one's kind of a lecture, lab, and tutorial, but I just wanted to go through what each one was. And so your lecture, you'll often see that in the timetable as LEC. And so that's typically led by an instructor, and it's minimal interaction. And it's usually the largest section of your course. And so I like to say, if you think of kind of a typical like movie or TV show where you get to see university, often there is someone talking at the front of the classroom and they have a blackboard or a whiteboard, and that is what a typical lecture would look like. So that kind of one person at the front talking to a larger group of people. And then we have a lab. So that is a smaller group of students from your lecture. And this is more hands-on learning, and it really complements what you're learning in the lecture as well. And that's typically run by a teaching assistant. It's also a great way for you to get to know some of the other students in your class too, because it's a smaller group. And then we have a tutorial. And that again is a smaller group of students from your lecture, and it's often like discussion based or problem solving based on what you're learning in your lecture. And again, typically run by a teaching assistant. And so what you'll see as you're going through this is some courses will just have a lecture. Some courses will have a lecture and a lab. Some will have all 3. And so when you're registering and picking courses, you want to register for all of the components that that course offers. It might not be the same for every course. It might be a different combination, but you'll want to make sure you're registering for all components of the course. And so with that, we will really jump into how to look for courses, how to know how many components there are, and all of those things. So all of the like logistical information about courses can be found on the timetable. And so you can find where the courses is, what the days offered, what the times, the type of course, a description, all of that information can be found on the timetable, and it's something that you can look up now. And so if you go to the timetable at dal.ca/timetable, it'll bring you to this page. And so the first thing that you'll do under terms is you'll select 2025 fall, 2026, and then 2025, 2026 winter. So I like to look at both terms at the same time, but you can select for fall and then go back and select for winter, whatever you prefer. And then under location, I would suggest selecting Halifax Online and Other, because that's going to give you the most options. You'll be able to see all of your options that way. And then in the subject, you can then type in the subject that you're looking for. And so this case, imagine I've typed in computer science, and it's brought us to this page. And so this is what the timetable and that information looks like. And we're going to walk through this together so it feels a bit more familiar to you at the end of this. So the first thing to highlight is the code, the course code CSCI 1105, and the name, so Intro to Computer Programming. That has the course code in the name. Next to that, we have a kind of play button there, or a circle with a triangle in it. And that is, if you click that, it'll bring you to a description of the course and have other helpful information in there. And then over to the right, we have the semester it's offered. So this course is offered in the fall semester, as you can see there. And then here we talked a little about credit hours and your course load. So this is how you know how many credit hours you'll get for a particular course. And in this case, we can see in this column that this particular course is 3 credit hours. And then next to that, we have section. So we talked about that lecture, lab, and tutorial, and this is how you can see what it is. So you can see here a lecture is a lec, a lab is a lab, and then a tutorial stands for tut on the timetable. And so you can see here we've got a lecture and a lab for this particular course. I pulled out, I just took a little screenshot of another course that had a tutorial, just so you can see what it looks like. But this particular course, you can see there is a lecture and a lab. So when you're registering for this course, you want to register in one lecture section and one lab section that works for you. You also then can see them under this section column, they're all numbered. So we have section 1, 2, 3, 40, and then 90. And then we've got a B01 and onwards there. And then we have the days and the days there. So you can see what days the course is being offered in that section. So Mondays, we have stands for M. The T stands for Tuesday. The W stands for Wednesday. Little funky, but the R stands for Thursday. And then F is Friday. So you can see what day the course is offered. And then next to that, you can see what time the course is offered. So the time's offered in military time, and you can see there your options. And then next to that, you have the location. So first in this, we have Studley, so the campus. So the campus, it's going to be on Studley campus. And then we have the building. So this particular section is offered in the Kenneth C. Rowe Management Building. And then we have the room. So 1020 is the room it's going to be in. And then over here, we have the number of seats. So that first column is the maximum number of people that can be allowed in the section. Next to that, we have the current number of people in the section. Next to that, we have the number of seats available. Then we have, if there is a waitlist, the number of seats available on the waitlist. And then we have the percentage this particular section is full. And then, okay, we're going to go back over to the left and you see the CRN highlighted. So your CRN, that stands for your course reference number. And it's a really important number, and that's what you're going to use and collect so that you're able to register on registration day. So when you're using the timetable, you can see that this has a bunch of different lecture section options. So you'll want to pick one that works best for you. And so say you want to do Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 to 10 for this one. So that would be this top section. The course reference number is a unique number identified with each individual section. So they're all different. And so when you're going through the timetable, you've picked the row, the section that you want to take. You would then write down the course reference number here, and you would use that to then register on registration day. So that number is really important You'd pick one for the lecture, and then because you need to register in every component, and this course has a lab, you would then pick one for a lab too. And you'll see on your blank schedule that there is a section at the bottom to add your CRNs into. Now, back all the way over to the right, we have your instructor information. So here you can see who is teaching the course. If you have any questions about the course, you can reach out to your instructor and ask. And then over to the left, we have the notes section. So it's really important as you're looking at courses and going along to take a look at the notes section, because there can often be some really helpful information in here. So there's a few things in that notes. First, we have a note. And it says students should not register in CSCI 1105 and CSCI 1110 in the same term. So good to know. And then we also have what you can see is that R and the S. So the R, if you click on it, it'll bring you and let you know what it is. So the R stands for restricted. So this particular course is restricted. And when you click on the R, it'll tell you who it is restricted to or from. So in this case, we can see this particular course is restricted from students in a Bachelor of Commerce Co-op or Bachelor of Management. And so what that means is students in Commerce Co-op or Management cannot take this course. You are welcome and encouraged and are required to take a lot of these computer science courses. But when you do see that R, take a click and just make sure everything's looking good and you're able to register for it. And then you also see that S highlighted, and that just means that that section requires special permission to register. And often in that note below, there's some helpful information about it as well. And so that kind of gives you an overview of the timetable and the different things that you see on here. We're going to go talk about a few more things, but really as you're going through and you're using the website to pick the courses, you'll look them up in the timetable, you'll see the options and the offerings and the times, and you'll build a schedule. It's kind of like a jigsaw, and map out when you're going to take each course and collect those CRNs. So on registration day, it's just a matter of plugging in those CRNs and clicking submit. So a few other things I wanted to highlight here is if we click the kind of play button here, it's going to bring you to a description, like I said. Now, I have a description for stats, which isn't one of those required courses, but I have this up because it has 3 things that I really want to highlight to you all in one description. And so a lot of the descriptions look fairly similar, where they have at the top the name and the course code, the number of credit hours, and then a bit of an overview of what to expect. So when you do have some choices in course selection, you're not quite sure what to take, or you're not sure what to pick from, you can use the description and click that play button to get a really good picture of what to expect in the course and what might be interesting to you. We have then the notes and the format, but here at the bottom, I just want to highlight these 3 terms. So first we have prerequisites. So a prerequisite is a course or a requirement that you have to complete before being able to take this course. So for this course, you have to do academic or advanced grade 12 mathematics or pre-calculus or equivalent before being able to take Stats 1060. Next, underneath that, we have cross-listings. So a cross-listing is a course that is shared with another department. It's the same course, same time, same instructor, same everything. It just has 2 different names. And then under that, we have exclusions. So an exclusion, this means that this course is too similar to another course for you to be able to get credit for both courses. And so that means in this particular example, you can't take Stats 1060 and take COM 2501 and get credit for both. So the point of this was really to highlight how important it is to read the description and make sure you're getting all of that information before registering, and you don't maybe accidentally register for an exclusion. And so that's some of the things just to watch out for when you do look for the description. You'll also see as you're looking through the timetable, there are some online courses. And here at Dal, we have 3 types of online courses. So the first type is synchronous. And so this is a course that requires you to join the class online at a specific day and time every week. And the time is posted on the timetable and it's scheduled in Atlantic Daylight Time. Asynchronous is a course that does not require you to be online at any specific day or time, and the material will be posted and it will be your responsibility to learn and review the material at in your own time. And then we have a combination. And so this is a course that will be delivered using both synchronous and asynchronous methods. So it might require you to be online some days, or it might require to be some weeks, but not all of the time. And you can see that information on the timetable. So I have just some examples here of what that looks like. And so we have here history 1510, and you can see we've got in that location, we have online and asynchronous. We have online and synchronous on Mondays and Wednesdays from 5:30 to 8:30 and 5:30 to 7:30. And then there also is an asynchronous component as well. So they have that combination there. And then underneath, I just have an example of a straight online and asynchronous course. So the key is if you are looking for an online course, you'd look at the location, which would say online, and then whether it was synchronous or asynchronous. And so those are really the key things to be watching out for in how to use the timetable. And so you want to use the website to really see what courses you have to take, check in with computer science if you have any questions, and then use the timetable to really plan out and map out your days in your fall and winter semester. So I just have some questions here to just kind of get you thinking about what you might want your days to look like and some things you might want to consider. So first off, what time of the day do I learn best? When do you want to take most of your courses? What time of the day do you study best? Do you want your classes back to back, or do you want breaks in between them? And if you do have breaks, have you been able to schedule breaks? If you're going to be on campus for lunchtime or dinner time, do you have time to be able to have lunch or dinner? Do you want to take an online course? And if you do want to take an online course, do you have a quiet time and space to focus on class? And then will you be working as well? What are your other commitments that you have going on during the day that you might not want to schedule a register for a class at that time? So just some things to really consider when you are creating that schedule and using the timetable to hopefully create a schedule that's going to work and fit for you. And then you'll see that some of those courses already have some seats filled or have some folks in them. So current students have been able to register for courses since March. And so sometimes they can fill up either before or on registration date, I think particularly when it comes to the electives there. And so when you're selecting courses and planning your schedule, I'd encourage you to find alternative courses or alternative sections that might work just in case your top choice is full. So for example, we saw for CSCI 1105, there are a few different tutorial options. So have a top choice, and then maybe is there another choice that you might want to take and that would fit with your schedule just in case. Similarly, when you're thinking of electives, so courses that aren't those specific required courses, are there a few options? Is there kind of a backup option that you might want to take just in case it's full or it's not going to work with your schedule? And then hopefully before June 7th, you've done all of those things. You have activated your net ID and password. You have checked your registration on Dell Online. You've got those 3 green ticks. You've created a schedule for both fall and winter semester using the academic timetable and the computer science website. And then as you created that schedule, you've also recorded those CRN, the course reference numbers. And so on June 7th, when registration opens, all you have to do is plug in those numbers and you should be good to go. And so it really takes the pressure off June 7th. The more you can do ahead of time, the smoother that the June 7th registration day will be. And so to register, you will log into Dell Online using your net ID and password. Again, super important you get that set up. You then click Web for Students. You then click Registration and then Register for Classes. So almost like it wants you to double check. So you click register for classes again, and in the term, you would select 2025, 2026 fall, and then you'd press continue. And you would get a screen that looks like this. And so we're going to look at each section individually. And so first we will take a look at this little bit here, and then we'll go down and look at the summary, and then finally at the schedule. And so first thing is that top section, this is where you're going to enter the CRNs. Now, I know you can see here it says find classes, and that looks really tempting, but you've done all of the work to collect those CRNs and create a schedule that works for you. And so I'd really encourage you to go ahead and go right to that enter CRN function. It is the most accurate way to register for courses. So you're going to go, you'll press enter CRN and you'll get this option that comes up here. So what you're going to do is you'll go ahead in that box and type in your first CRN. And then you can press add another and then keep adding your CRNs for that particular semester. And then once you're done, you can press add to summary. And so all of your courses would then show up in the summary, which would be that bottom right part of the screen. And at that point, they will all show up as pending under status. So you'll see them all as pending. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to go down to that bottom right button and click submit. Now, hopefully everything turns green. It says registered and you are good to go. And you just go back and do it for winter. But you might run into an error. So you might run into something that says error preventing registration. And we're going to talk a little about what those possible errors might be, just so that you're prepared on registration day, just in case something comes up. So on the screen, I have a few potential errors that you might see. So the first error is link error XXX required. So you get this error if you go, for example, to register for the Computer Science 1105 and you only register for the lecture section, you'll get one saying link error tutorial required. And so that's what happens when you register for only one component of the course and not all of the components. And so if that does come up, you would just go check the timetable, make sure you've got all of the components, and then go ahead and register for those pieces. The next is section full, which is just saying that particular section or row that you're trying to register for is full. And so you can go ahead and check the timetable and see if there's another section available. Underneath that, you have section full XXX on the wait list. And so that particular course or section you're registering for has a wait list, and there are so many people on the wait list. So you'd then be able to join the wait list if you wanted to, which we'll get to in a minute. And then the next one is available seats held for waitlisted XXX on the waitlist. And so what this is saying is on the timetable, it looks like there might be seats, but there are people on the waitlist. And so the seats that you see are actually held for those folks on the waitlist, but you are able to add yourself to the waitlist. And then finally is missing required course or grade. And so that's where you try and register for a course and you don't have the prerequisite, so the course or the requirement needed before taking it. And so if you do come up with that error, it's just a matter of going back to click on that play button to look at the description and double check you have the prerequisites. So that's just a few errors that might pop up, and hopefully they don't, but just to give you an idea to help you be prepared on registration day. And so if you do run into that waitlist error, you can go ahead and add yourself to the waitlist. And so what you would do is you would, under action, click the drop down and you would select waitlisted and then go ahead and press submit here. The status would then change. It would be green and it would say waitlisted. It would be then up to you to check the prepare for registration page to see if you've got off the waitlist. And so and then if you do get off the waitlist, you would just go back into your registration page. You would click web registered and then submit. And so sometimes courses are full, and that's why we really encourage you on June 7th to register for fall and winter as soon as things open. So if a course or a section is full, I'd encourage you as you're creating your schedule to have a backup course or backup section in mind. Keep checking the academic timetable because there are changes over the summer. So even if something is full now, space might become available later. There are also wait lists. So for some courses, there will be a wait list. And so if there is one, you can add yourself to the wait list and get a spot if one becomes available. And you also can be on a wait list for a course and register in an alternative too. You could be kind of on as many wait lists as you would like. And then your degree does take time and you will complete it over multiple years. So if something doesn't work, it might be something you can take later. But I will say if a required course, so one of those courses that was listed on the computer science website is full or not working, reach out to computer science to talk about what that means and what your options are. So if you're in this situation, connect with someone and just get an idea of what your options are there too. And so finally, you've hopefully registered, everything looks good. You have all of those green ticks, everything says registered, and the final check you will do is to check your schedule in the bottom left corner. And so it can trip people up, but the system allows you to register for conflicts. And so the system does let you register in 2 courses that are offered at the same time, but you can't go to both those courses because they're offered at the same time. And so this is a really great way just to double check and make sure your schedule looks good, there aren't any conflicts, and that you're happy with what it is. And so if you create that schedule ahead of time, it'd just be a matter of making sure they look the same. And on the screen here, I just have what it would look like if you did have a conflict. So you can see here that this particular course is conflicting with this other course, German for Beginners. They're offered at the same time. And so you've got a tick here, but there's no tick here because of that conflict. So it's always good if you do run into a conflict, go back, check the timetable and see, is there another option for you? Is there another section? Is it offered at another time? Can you move some things around to avoid that conflict? And just double check the schedule you've made to make sure you've registered for everything in the right way too. And so that would be the final step. You saw the green ticks, everything looks good. You've checked the schedule and there's no conflicts. You're happy with what it looks like. And then you're going to go back and you're going to do it all again for the winter semester. So that's great. You've done the fall. You'll go back, you'll change your term and you'll plug it in for 2025, 2026 winter, add all of the CRNs, submit it, and then check your schedule too. And so I have given an overview of this, but it can be a tricky process and it's all new to you. So if you do need more support or you have kind of want to learn more about the process of what to do, there's also the Dal Online Help Center. So they have really quick, short videos that goes over everything of like how to check your registration page, how to register for a course, how to add yourself to a waitlist. All of that information can be found at the Help Center. And you also can access those now. So even before registration opens too. And so hopefully that's given you a bit of an overview of course selection and registration in that process. And now we're just going to jump for the last little bit into some supports available for you as well. And so I'm going to get into some specific supports, but I really want the biggest takeaway here from this part is for you to know that there are so many supports and resources available at DAL and so many people here and eager and keen to help. And so hopefully you feel that with myself and Leo here on the call, but also just when you come to DAL. And so if you have a question, if you're not sure where to go to, there are so many people around, so ask someone. And so if they aren't able to answer your question, they'll likely know where the best place is. And you'll see when you join in the fall or winter, you'll see lots of people walking around with these big yellow Ask Me pins on their chest. And so as you're walking around campus and maybe a little lost or you have a question, feel free to tap someone on the shoulder. They have the Ask Me pin and ask them your question as well. And so really the main thing is there are so many people here to help you. And so just ask for that help if you need it. And now we're going to get into those resources. So the first we have is financial services. So awards and financial aid is part of the registrar's office, and they can help with scholarship and bursary fundings, student loans, temporary loans for emergencies, and connecting with on and off campus community resources to help with financial need, and then creating a budget for university. And then, as I said, that in the registrar's office. So next we have academic advising. And so academic advising is here to help make you have a successful transition to university life at DAL. They're here to help you understand your program requirements and academic regulations, to help choose your courses and your program and structure your degree, to help map out strategies to achieve your educational and career goals, and develop action plans to deal with academic or other difficulties. And so that's the folks in computer science that I just have their email here. And Leo is one of those lovely people who can help you with this too. Next, we have career services. So they're part of the Bissett Student Success Center, and they can help you with lots of things related to career. So they can help with job search and application preparedness. They can help you with determining what you want to do with your degree. And so they have career counseling as part of career services about what do you want to do with your degree? What does it look like after you graduate? What's going to be the best fit for you? What are your interests? All of those things. They offer workshops on so many different things like networking and resume building. They also can review your cover letter and your resume. And then a career counseling. They also do LinkedIn headshots if you're ever looking for a headshot too. Next, we have the registrar's office. So they're probably the folks you've maybe engaged with most so far. And so the registrar's office holds the admission team. And so they're the ones who've been emailing you a lot at this point. They also help with like registration. So if you come up with an error, kind of troubleshooting that. They have your transcripts. They have the transfer credit team and the awards and financial aid team there. They also can help with confirmation of enrollment. And so what I like to tell students typically is anything that you can kind of see on Dal Online, it's likely the registrar's office would be able to help you with it. So they're a great contact there. Now, next we have the Student Accessibility Center. And so I would encourage you so first off, the Student Accessibility Center can help work with you to identify and reduce barriers you might face to the classroom, to exams, to spaces on campus. They can work and advocate on behalf of and alongside of you to support your transition into and throughout your time here at Dal. They can assist you in accessing disability-related funding and connecting you with on and off campus resources to help with your success. So this is really great. And if you are coming from high school and you had a learning plan or an IEP, or if you think that you might face some barriers at your time here at Dal and you'd like accommodations or to explore the option of accommodations, I'd really encourage you to book an appointment with the Accessibility Center now. So they are open all summer. They are taking appointments. So if this is something you know you need or you think you might need, I'd really encourage you to book an appointment now and get it set up, so that when you start in the fall, you're good to go and that you're feeling comfortable with a plan already in place. Next, we have the Student Health and Wellness Center. So this is kind of like your family doctors while you're here with us. And so they have medical appointments with doctors and nurses. They have a social worker to help with problems of living. You can access Dalhousie's same-day counseling services through them. And they also do things like your flu shots, your prescriptions, medical testing can all be through the center as well. And next we have professors. So these are your instructors of your courses. And so likely in the first day of your classes starting, you'll be given access to a Brightspace course, so like an online course platform, and you'll have a syllabus for each of your courses. And that is like a contract between you and your instructor. And so it outlines contact information, expectation, key dates, how you're going to be assessed. All of that can be found in there. One of the things that's also in there is your office hours. And so office hours is a time where an instructor kind of has the door open and you're able to visit them in their office and ask any questions or things about the course. And so instructors can be really helpful if you're looking for clarification on an assignment or you want help with it. If you just want to learn more about the research they're doing or opportunities to get involved in the department, or just kind of the field that they're in, and also just getting to know them. So they can be a really great resource for kind of research and the field, but also just in a course too, if you run into any difficulties. And then we have Studying for Success. So Studying for Success offers one-on-one appointments with study skills coaches. They work with you to develop your study skills and help understand your learning style. So I would say whether you're coming right from high school, whether you've had a gap, whether you're coming from another institution, it never hurts to kind of have a little checkup on where your study skills are at. So you can access them. They can help work with you one-on-one to help with your study skills and strategies there. They also offer a range of workshops on things like how to manage your time, how to do a multiple choice exam, how to do an essay exam. All of those things, they offer a bunch of workshops. They also have tutoring, so tutoring to help support with like specific courses and like specific things going on in a course. But again, they're a really great resource just to check in about your study skills and help with a class. Next, we have the Writing Center. So the Writing Center supports students at all levels in all fields of study. And so you'll see on that website, you do have a kind of writing requirement course in your first year that's encouraged. And so they offer one-on-one appointments to discuss written work and can work with you at any stage of the process. So it might be, hey, I've got this question, I have this assignment, I don't know how to structure this, all the way to I've written this and I just want some help reviewing it. So they can help provide feedback at any point in that format. So a really great resource to connect with. Next, we have the Black Student Advising Center. So they're a cultural hub of support programs, events, and resources for students of African descent. And they offer free tutoring in bio, chem, and math. They also have writing support there. The center can also help you advocate and navigate campus and find resources and supports based on your needs, and then support you with finding funding on and off campus as well. We then have the Indigenous Student Center, and so they provide a supportive environment for Indigenous students to gather, meet other students, and have access to supports and services. So they similarly offer writing support, biochem, and math and stats tutoring. They also have various other resources come host office hours in the center. So accessibility, health and wellness, library support, all host office hours in the center as well, so you can access it there. And they host a variety of different events and programming, such as cultural events, educational informational sessions, networking opportunities, and more. And they can help refer and connect you to resources both on and off campus, and then provide information around scholarships and bursaries too. We then have the 2S LGBTQ+ advisor, Olivia. And so Olivia can help with accessing and referrals to gender affirming care, seeking name or gender marker changes at DAL or provincially, can help with resource navigation and advocacy matters related to identity or gender expression. If you're looking for someone to talk about your experiences, including any barriers you might be facing, and then overall advancing access and equity of 2S LGBTQ+ students at DAL and King's. And then we have the International Center. So the International Center supports students on exchange and study abroad opportunities and to explore those. They can help with student immigration and student visa support, as well as filing Canadian taxes. They also can help get you connected to different English as an additional language supports and connect with the international community on and off campus. And then we have finally the DAL U app. So you can get this on the App Store or Google Play, and it can help connect you with people, info, systems, announcements, all of those things. And you can get it now and kind of get connected to the other people joining your class in September or in January. And so you can get that in either of those stores too. You also can use it online as well. And so that was kind of the run of the resources that I had to go through tonight. But again, these aren't all of the resources. There are more than this. And the biggest thing is, if you're not sure where to go, reach out and ask someone, and they'll be able to help work with you and navigate the right place for you. And now back to registration. Just to recap, registration day opens Saturday, June 7th at 12 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. The deposit payment we talked about at the start can take up to 48 hours to process, and you do need to do that before registering. You also will need to activate your Net ID and create your password. And as you've seen, that's what really gives you access to DAL Online to be able to register and do this. That's really important. And then if you run into any difficulties on Saturday, the registrar's office is here to help answer questions and troubleshoot any errors or difficulties you might run into. And so they're available virtually by phone, live chat, or email, which I have there too. And then next step. So once you've done all of that, fantastic. You can check out the kind of information for new students page. They have a new student checklist, helpful tips, orientation info, and friends and family info. And I'd encourage you over this summer, once you get your DAL email set up, is to keep checking that fairly regularly. I would say at least once a week, because we'll be sending out lots of information for you over the summer to help get you set up for the fall, both like DAL and computer science. So keep a good eye on that email for things coming to you. And that was really the end. And so we're going to switch and look at the questions you've been asking. And so just a reminder, if you want to ask a question, now is your time. And so you'll have at the bottom of that Zoom bar, you'll have a Q&A. And so that will, if you click the Q&A button, the question and answer box will pop up. You can type your questions into the text box and click send. And if you don't want your name associated with the question, you can send it anonymously by just clicking send anonymously. And the questions will go to myself and Leo, and we'll answer them. And I just have a survey as we're pulling up the questions. So we do want to hear from you. We'd love to know how we did and how you're feeling. And so I'll pop this in the chat, but also I'll email this out to you with the recording and all of that info as well. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay, so the first question is, how do you know if you've paid the admission deposit or not? Yes. So if you go to check your prepare for registration status page and you get those 3 green ticks, that lets you know that you've paid the admission deposit. If you haven't paid it, you'll get something that says something like, you need to pay your admission deposit. So that's a good way to check. You also can reach out to the registrar's office and confirm that you've paid it. Leo, this question is for you. What do you recommend for applied computer science courses?
So I think for both BCS and BACS, from any FCS student, their first year is probably going to be pretty much similar. The page that Catherine has put it into PowerPoint has a great website there. It captures all the required courses for BCS and BACS. So it's going to be your general CSCI 1105 or 1110. And most of the courses that you're going to take, it's going to be a first year core. So that is the website right there. If I probably should put that in here for the website for everybody in the chat there. This website contains your degree checklist as well as your required course basically for first year. I think that should also answer another question there for asking for the BACS one. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Someone's asking if you're registering for both terms in the fall for computer science, do you have to pay for both terms in the fall? No, so you would pay your tuition for at the start of each semester. And so if you went to the awards and financial aid page, I think that would give you a schedule of when fees are due. But even if you register now, your fees aren't due until like the start of each semester. And then Leo, for you, are there any summer computer science courses?
Yes, there are. So for summer term, we still offers variables of courses in general, but there will be some courses normally would not be offered in summer. Some of the core courses would not be. So I will suggest you to keep checking the academic timetable, which is a really valuable tool for our student. Check that. Once the timetable is out, normally you should receive an email. And once it's out, you probably wanted to looking at that as soon as possible to check for what courses is offered in summer.
Thank you. I'm just typing this. I'll see. Oh, where can you learn the requirements for supplies for a given course, i.e. computer requirements, since this is computer science? Do you have any about computer specifically?
Yes, so I think there is a page in our website has the laptop requirements. Just give me a second there. So I will put it out for the chat here. So in that page, it contains all the recommendations for either Apple or PC. So for most of the PC, they do have a certain level of specs that they are expecting for doing computer science degree. That is in the chat there.
Wonderful, thank you. And someone's asked about the information on the website. So that information, I sent the link, but I'll also email the link to everyone as well. The next question, what does the numbers under section represent, like 01, 02, 03? They're just numbers to identify each section. So just to kind of distinguish between, we have lecture section 1, lecture section 2. That's all that they really need, just to help distinguish between them. And the next is the deposit the same as when we paid after accepting the offer? Yes, so it would be the admission deposit, it'd be $200. And so it would be that deposit that you paid after accepting your offer. The next question is, at what time exactly does registration open? This is a first come, first serve type of thing for registration, correct? Yes, so registration opens on June 7th at 12 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. And so it is, so I would encourage you, if you can be online at 12 p.m. on Saturday, to be online, because it is a first come, first serve thing, for sure. Someone's asked if the webinar, you're able to view it. Yes, this will be recorded and emailed to everyone, so you will have access to this afterwards too. Someone's asked, for transfer students, do we need to wait for the credits to transfer first before we register for courses? Because I've done Calculus 1 and Discrete Math at my previous institution, and Dow requires I take it too. Leo, I don't know if you wanted to answer that.
Yes, sure. So for transfer student, normally, I think the transfer credit office will review the material with our faculty in general to see if the course material are actually aligned with each other. If it is, normally they will have a similar Dalhousie course code in there that will be contained in your academic record in there. Normally that could takes a bit longer compared to just registering for the courses in general. You might get that after, but I will probably suggest you should check the website that I have sent it to the chat there for our recommended course. There you should be able to see there's a degree checklist in there, and you can register the courses that you haven't done in there.
Wonderful. Yep. Thank you. The next is it possible to have 2 free days and still take 5 courses? That it really depends on when courses are offered. I'm not super familiar with the computer science ones. If you're able to do this, I would say that would be very impressive. Leo, I don't know if you know more about the specific courses, but
I mean, from the first year courses, I'm not gonna say that you probably will have, if you plan it well, you might have 1 free day in general, 2 free day in general. It depends on the course load that you actually gonna do. Normally, computer science students are often doing 5 courses per term. They're normally gonna do the full workload in general, and if it's in that situation, it's probably gonna be none. But it depends on your choice. And since if I'm just assuming that you're a first year student, you could potentially do 3 to 4 courses, I'll probably say, at your first term at least.
Wonderful, thank you. Someone's asked, how many courses can we take in a semester?
Yes, I can jump into that. So the maximum normally a student can take in a semester, that's going to be 5 courses. We do normally do a 6th course upon request by the student, actually. So you could potentially do requests exceed of your workload. That's going to be a form, and you will have to send it to us to be approved. Normally, I would say the baseline for requesting to adding in another course when you're in a full workload, you're going to need a GPA of 3.0 overall. So it's sort of a risky step that you could do, but it's a solution there. But normally it's going to be 5.
And so if a student is joining in their first year, they'd have to take 5 because they don't have that GPA. Is that correct? That would be their max?
Yes, the maximum course that they can take
Yeah.
in any sort of term is going to be 5, including summer term as well. But if they wanted to do another one, they can request for it, and we will decide either it's possible or not. But for a first year student, they don't really have to do 5. It's still like it's possible that they wanted to take it slow. That's also fine.
Yeah. And that I think leads to another question at the end. How many courses does a first year applied computer science student usually take?
As what I was saying earlier, normally they are taking at least 4 to 5 courses because it's sort of I will probably say it's a tight degree. Like it's sort of designed that student can finish all the courses, all the degree requirements within 4 years if they take 5 courses per term in general. It was designed in that way, but we had students who feel like they wanted to slow down a bit, who took, like, for example, like a 4 or a 3 per term. And since we offer summer term in general within Faculty of Computer Science, we have some courses available there. So if you plan it well, you can still get it done.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. And then can you choose courses outside of your major?
Yes. So for both BCS and BACS student, they do have, I think, are either 8 or 6 of free electives in there. If you go into the website that I sent there, based on the degree checklist there, you should be able to see all the free elective courses that we allowed. Those courses are, some of them have requirements for example, 1,000 or 2,000. Yeah, so Catherine have that there. We also, for example, for BCS student, you are going to do a certain level of humanity or social science. We have a requirement for 1,000, and you also have requirements for business econ, science, or engineering 1,000 and 2,000. And for that, I could attach the approved topics for both requirements there in the chat. So in the future, if you wanted to do those requirements, you can have the topic available in there. I will copy that, just 1 second.
Wonderful, thank you.
No worries, I think it might be too large for, yeah, okay. So here is the humanity and social science one, and for the business econ one, it's going to be much shorter. There we go.
Someone's asked, for computer science, what would you recommend in the fall and winter? I know you touched on it a little, but is there anything else you wanted to add?
I think for that, we also have another website. Just give me a second there. I think we had a website that has actually a suggested schedule for year 1, 2, and 3, as well as 1. Just
Okay, and while Leo is finding that, I could just answer. So if I choose a course, must I take both the lab and lecture? Yes. So the way that it works, and I'll pull up the timetable, is you want to kind of choose one of every color or one of every component being offered. So in this case, if we go and we look, and we can type in CSCI, one spectro. What you'll want to do is underneath the course, like code and name. So for in this case, underneath CSCI 1105, you'll want to register for one of each color or one of each component being offered. So in this case, we have a lec and the lab. So when you're registering, you'll want to register for one lec and one lab. If you register just for the lecture or just for the lab, you're going to run into an error. So you do need to make sure you register for both parts of a course. But you'll see that some courses will just be a lecture. So if it just has a lecture, you just register for the lecture. Again, if it has a tutorial, you'd register for that lecture and tutorial and so on. So it really depends on the course of like how many different components you're registering. But if there are 1, 2, or 3 components, you do need to register in all components of the course. And so really you want to kind of have a CRN of each color, depending on the course.
Okay, I don't think I can find that page right now. I think something happened. They might took it out in there. But I will probably suggest if you had any question to plan out the whole year, I will probably suggest you to contact us individually, and we can set up a time with you to talk about what's actually available in there. So I will probably say you should send us an email to our undergraduate email, and I will put it in the chat there.
Thank you. Someone's asked, is English a compulsory course for first year?
Not really, actually. We don't really have an English requirement course in there. We do have 2 writing course in there. That 2 writing course is kind of important because those 2 courses are your prerequisite for one of your second year core courses. It's in the website that I sent for your suggested courses for first year in there. You probably will see that 2 courses as writing requirements, ASSC 1800 and 1801. So that 2 courses will be probably the more writing courses in there, but it is a requirement. But you could potentially do that within your first year, or you can delay it a little bit, do it in your second year, but that's going to push back a little for your second year core. That's all.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Someone's asked, will the intro to CS course be an elective? So I think that's the 1505.
Yes,
Yeah.
1105.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, so CSCI 1105, it's going to be counted as a free elective 1000, which every FCS student for BCS and BACS, they are required to take at least 2 free elective 2000 in there. I think for the degree checklist, you should be able to see actually for BACS, they can do a little bit more for free elective 1000. It's going to be 5 free elective 1000 for BACS. For BCS, they're going to be doing at least 2 free elective 1000 in there. So that course will be counted towards your free elective 1000.
Yeah, wonderful, thank you. The next is, if my course is full, how do I know which course will back up the course that I want? So I think this depends on the course. Leo, do the computer science courses, the required ones, do they often fill up? Is that something people should be worried about? And what do they do if they do fill up, if that's a thing?
So I will definitely suggest any student when they're in a wait list for a core courses, they don't think they have another option, I will suggest they to contact us directly, and we will set up a time to see the actual schedule to find it out. But in general, for computer science course, not really that intense. Some of the courses could be a little bit like insanely popular, I would probably say. That's probably going to be in your second and third year. So there are few core courses that kind of probably say it's not really, how can I put it? It's a lot of people will having a little bit trouble with that specific course. So that will back up a lot of people in general. So that will be the reason that actually happens when a course is having a full wait list, I'll probably say. But it depends still. It depends on what courses and what year that you're in. So if you have that question, feel free to contact us and we will help you out for getting an actual doable solution.
Wonderful, thank you. And someone's just asking, are the courses in the chat the ones that you can choose as electives?
So the link, well, the course that I put in there, firstly is the science lab. So that is a BCS requirements, a degree requirements. You will need to do at least 2 of them, and you can choose from the list that I have put in there. And for humanity and social science, that's also a BCS requirement. You only need to do 1. But those are the topics that I have put in there that you can register, and that will count, that topic, that course will count towards your humanity and social science one. And as well as for the business econ science or engineering one, that is also for BCS. That is also the topic you will need to do 2 1,000 level and 1 2,000 level. So those are not really electives. Those are still other required courses. For free elective, that means basically any courses will count.
Yeah. You have a lot of choice there with that free elective, and
Yep.
you can use what Leo put in the chat, those subjects, to look them up in the timetable and see what might be interesting. Someone's asked, is the lecture and the lab different times of the day or week? Yes, so you want to pick a lecture and a lab that are offered at different times. You don't want them at the same time. And so you'll see often that the lecture and the lab are offered at a range of different times. And so you can pick the one that works for you and doesn't conflict with anything else. And then our last question here is, are there any conditions for choosing Mandarin? For example, if someone is a foreigner but grew up in China. I believe there are courses. I'm just going to look that up. But yes, I believe you could absolutely take courses. You might want to connect with the department just to make sure what course and what level you might want to go into. And then Leo, this one's for you. On the degree requirement sheet, there are 4 different courses that say required for co-op. What does this mean? Do we need to take all 4 of them in our first year to be able to do co-op?
No, so for that 4 courses, specifically in the degree checklist, so it is actually 4 courses that require for students who wanted to do co-op. They have to complete that 4 courses before that they apply for co-op in general. But those 4 courses are generally not for first year anyway. It's going to be your second year core. So those courses are required courses for your degree anyway. So if, for example, you have a plan for doing co-op in the future with your BCS or your BACS degree, those 4 courses, I recommended you to take really good care to make sure that you pass them. And once that is complete, those 4 courses are complete, and then you can apply for co-op. Normally, you should receive an email in your Dell email from our co-op office saying that the application for co-op has been opened. And during that time, you can apply. But I'll probably say when you are doing your courses in your first year, you're completing hopefully your CSCI, ASSC 1801 and 1800. And normally, if you complete all the courses for your first year core, you should be able to directly register for all the second year core, which is always required. Fine, like there shouldn't be any problem. So I will probably say if you have a plan for co-op, you can always feel free to contact us, and we can see what time it might be the best for you to enter co-op. Actually, we also do have a co-op advisor specifically, and so he will definitely be able to help with that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. I did see the next question popping up there, so I'm going to just directly going to take it. So for BACS student, so if you have no current knowledge regarding programming, 1105 it's a must. So register for CSCI 1105, and I think for the ACS, it's probably still going to be using the same website that I have posted out there. Those courses are the one that is going to be your first year courses for both BCS and BACS. And I think for possibility, there should be a management course that is in there. That's MGMT 1301 that is only offered in fall and is a prereqs for 1302. So that I will probably put in there as a priority as well, alongside with 1105 there. And all the other courses should be your 1120 and 1170 and your two writing courses.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. The next is, I think it says, does computer science have an elective requirement like the Bachelor of Applied Computer Science? I think is the acronyms.
I'm not really getting the meaning of the question in there. I mean,
Yeah.
for could it be BACS?
I think so, yes.
Could it be BA? Like that makes more
yes,
sense
that was
to
my
me.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's for BACS, they also have elective requirements like BCS for both degree that we offer. We have some room for elective for sure. I think for BACS, you're kind of gonna have a little bit more free elective in there compared to BCS. And also for BACS, you don't really have to, 100%, like you don't have to do math at all. So I hope that answers the question. If you have more like specific questions, feel free to send us an email that we posted out there, and we will reply back to them ASAP probably.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that looks like all of our questions for tonight.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Someone's asked for subject in the timetable for CSCI, also for the applied computer science. Yes. So the subjects you'd pop in the timetable would be like the 4-letter course thing. So like CSCI, ASSC is what you'd pop into the timetable. Okay, so wonderful. Thank you so much all for joining us tonight. Hopefully we're able to answer your questions and really clear up some of the questions you might have had around course selection or registration. And so again, all of this will be sent to you in an email, as well as a copy of the slides and the contact information of who to reach out to if you have any questions. But thank you very much for joining us, and hope you have a good night.